Ras, ras.
What is it?
Ras, ras.
That's like test.
Like one.
One. Ras.
One.
Ras.
Ras, ras.
Yeah.
All right. This is a very spontaneous video. And I just want to ask you a few questions. Because I think that you are, well, I don't think so, I know, so that you are, well, you are older, you're way older than me. And,
a little older.
and I think that you're a very smart and very wise person, and you're very supportive to me, and you always give me advices and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you, sorry, I didn't let you prepare your answers or questions about
Yeah,
it,
it's
but
okay. It's spontaneous.
yeah. So I want to.
Just cut and delete it.
Yeah. I want to ask you about you're 46 years old now. And do you think at this age you have found your purpose of life already?
At 46?
Yeah, like right now.
No, I don't think I found my purpose. I figured out what I like to do and what I don't like to do. What I might be good at, maybe that's what I mean in a way that could also be what purpose is, right? You end up doing what you are comfortable doing or what you're good at. You're bringing, and by that I mean whatever it is you're doing is bringing value to the world. So that's sort of purpose, right?
Yeah, I guess we can call it purpose. So that means you have found it. You think.
But in that sort of way, if you think of it like that, then yeah, I found it a long time ago.
So yeah, that's what I want to talk about quickly. So can you tell me a little bit about when do you think you have found it, when you realized that this is something that you want to do, this is something that you enjoy to do, and how that it happened? Like how did it happen that you realized or you felt like this is what it is? There you go.
Right. So it must have been when I was maybe late in high school. So maybe when I was 16, 17. That's when I decided, I was like, oh, I enjoy music. Now, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was going to do in music, but I just knew I liked music.
You liked listening to music?
I like making music. I like listening to music.
But how did you get to make to music?
I was just learning to play an instrument.
Like doing different things
right.
while you being like a young teenager?
Correct. I was just trying things and playing around. And I was in different bands and started reading and learning about it, recording and writing. And that was sort of the start. And then as I dug deeper into it, I was like, wow, this thing is like super wide. It's so vast, right? It's not something that you can get bored of. There's always new stuff to try, new stuff to learn. There's the creating part, which is also interesting and fun, where you can work alone on stuff. It's like research, studying. And then there's the performing side, which some things you don't get to do, right? This has this side of you can also take it out, jump on stage, and then you're doing this thing in real time. There's a performance aspect to it, which is like competing sometimes. If you're an athlete, it's part that. There's part showman, the character playing and acting. And so there's many facets to the whole music industry thing where you can get to, especially if you get to do all of it, it becomes very interesting. So I saw that as you can never really get bored. Mm-hmm. You can be working all the time till you're forever.
But let me ask you something. But how did you kind of I guess made a decision or realized for yourself that music is something that you want to focus on your full time, because music is something that can be as a hobby, right? A lot of people do. So yeah, I'm curious about this, when you're made a clear decision for yourself that I'm gonna be a musician full time, like fully?
So it must have been. So this is the thing, right? You asked me yesterday when we were talking about my studies. I had a major in economics, and I had a major in music. So at that point in time, I was still like, I can do both. I could do either if I needed to. If I needed to go and work in, more more business related job, I might want to do that. But I also have the interest in working in music. And so when I graduated, I was like, of course I'm going to go try to do the thing that's going to be more difficult first, which is the music side of things. And so I was like, I'm going to go focus on this first. If this doesn't work, then I can always do something else later, which is, I think everybody's sort of like that. But at least I made the decision right when I was in university even. I was like, okay, I'm going to start with this first, with music first. And that's when I was like, okay, and I started reading and learning more about the business side of music, right? So I was like, okay, well, what can I do to make this a career? What do I need to do? And so I started reading books, and I had, there's a bunch of books on music business and career path, and and then there's obvious things like, well, then you work as a musician, or you work as a producer, you work as a songwriter, you work as, or is it something else? Are you a promoter, or are you a teacher? Are you a coach? Are you a band leader? Are you in a band? Are you a lead singer? Are you selling the music? Are you recording the music for people? Are you an engineer? So then it starts getting wide of like, well, which part of this business do you want to go into? And it must have been I was living at the house already, so it would have been maybe my third year in university, second or third year in university. I read a book called Confessions of a Record Producer. And that opened my eyes to, how the record business sort of runs, what made sense, what doesn't make sense. And then that was kind of like what gave me the idea. I was like, I think I want to become a record producer. And so from then on, I was just sort of working on learning the process of becoming a record producer.
And how long did it take you from this moment of realization that you want to be a musician until the moment you actually started to make money with music, in music?
Okay, so let's see, that would have been 1999 was when I read this book. And then, let's see, so I graduated 2000. I was kind of working in music in different places already there. I produced an album for Johnny in 2002. I was doing remixes in 2002, so this was like 2 years later. And then I went on tour with Kenna for the first time in 2003. So this was 3 or 4 years later. And, then going on tour and doing all that stuff, I was like a professional musician there, a professional working musician there. And then during that time, I was also writing and recording. I was working as a DJ as well. I was writing ad music. I was releasing my own music as well as an artist. So, started making, so all that already by 2003, 2002, 2003 was making money making music. Did that all the way until, till now, but even 2004, 5, 6, all sorts of production work and still learning. 2008, I moved back to Thailand. So before that, I was working on a whole bunch of different aspects of music. I was a writer, I was a DJ, I was a live musician, I was a recording artist, I was a programmer, I was doing ringtones, I was doing remixes. 2008, I moved back to Thailand, and that's where I sort of focused on my production skills as a producer. And I started working with other artists We released the Katsu album in 2007, but 2008 I started really like focusing. By 2011, that's when the Slot Machine album came out, and that was a so. During that whole time, I was working on different elements. I was already making money, but I wasn't in the right. I wasn't in the. I wasn't in the main position I wanted to be in, but I knew I needed to do all these things to get there. Right. So during that time, I was still learning and taking on me like, well, if you want to become a photographer, you got to be the lighting assistant first, and you got to help with maybe be the retouching guy, and then you got to be like the cameraman's assistant. You got to be like the so you're doing all these different things before you get to become the photographer. So, all right, continuing.
Continue. Raz.
Yeah, sorry about that. We had a bit of a
Memory issue.
memory issue. So what was I saying? I was saying, yeah, I started making money in 2003, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't. It was making money because we needed to make money in that sort of sense. But I was still working my way towards becoming what I wanted to be. The final destination, but just slowly getting there.
Right now, like I guess I can totally say that you're like a successful musician, right? Are you like already at that point where like you want it to be?
Yeah. Well, the thing is with music, it's always difficult. I mean, right now, everybody's sort of view of success is different, right? To be able to be doing it and surviving and living, and like pretty comfortably.
No, I'm talking about you particularly. How do you feel where you are?
Oh.
And what's your goal?
Okay.
Like, are you there where you want it to be
Yeah.
for yourself? Or
Yeah, definitely. So this is like, I feel like I've gone to the point where I wanted to be to start doing things of like, this is, you want to get to this point of like, well, I want to be comfortable and understanding all the bits of it and be able to create and understand all the parts of the business and the craft side. And I feel like I'm there now. It's still an ever evolving learning process. There's still so much to learn. And then and with the learning, there's also so much to do with it, right? So now that you're comfortable and you sort of understand how things work and how things are made and the skill set there, then you just have to do it is the thing. So I'm in the position now where like, okay, now this is the point where you just got to keep putting stuff out and having consistent release schedule. And
that's what's your goal will be at this point.
Yes. Well, yeah, the goal is, once you like, because it's something that we discovered early on that I wanted to do, the goal is to be able to do it for as long as I can and, make a living doing it. So the main thing is not to have to go do something else. And that's the general scenario that happens with a person that's not doing it as a career, right? They got to go do something else just so that they can come and do this as a hobby, right? Maybe they work at a 9-to-5 job, or they're doing something else, and then in their free time, then they get to play some music, or they get to write some music, or So the goal really is, how do we just be able to keep making the music and still be able to live life and afford to do things.
Is there something you would make different if you could in this like journey of your musical career?
Yeah, maybe. I guess the way that my path that I took, matches my personality a bit more. Would I change anything? Maybe I would have taken more risks and done more things earlier on, which is probably normal for most people, being like, well, when I lived in New York, I probably should have been doing more stuff there. When I lived in LA, I probably should have been doing more things there. now seeing it, like you look back and everybody's like, well, in the 90s, if you had a big record, there was so much money to be made, the business was different then, you could get signed, and how things changed after the early 2000s and MP3s were being shared and how the budgets and everything changed, and now things are different again. So, there's a time there when I was younger that if we took advantage of that era, things could be different. You could have but again, who would have known? It's just something you don't really know.
Was there a moment when you thought that maybe, like, this is not what, like,
Yeah.
you want to continue to do, or you were not sure to, to do this? Was it?
Yeah, even maybe that was recent too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not long ago. Like during COVID, there was a bit where I was like, what do we do? What is it we do? How do we make this? How do we continue to make this work? And even a bit before COVID, there was time where I don't know. Maybe things were just a bit quiet for me.
But what kind of motivated you to just keep going?
I just kept doing it. And like.
Just because you enjoy doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep doing it, and looking for other options, And then there was a point in time where I was like, maybe, if that's why I was also focusing on trading quite a bit, right? So I was like, well, maybe if I just trade really well, then the music can just be for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Then it moves the music again to hobby, like we were saying.
Yeah.
That initially that's what
Less
we,
pressure.
that we didn't want to do it that way, but sometimes it gets to the point where you have to sort of figure it out. I'm like, well.
Yeah.
But it comes in cycles, you can see there's times, I'm sure it's freelancing, it's like modeling, right? When sometimes things are just a bit more quiet, and sometimes it's like, this time it's quiet for quite long.
Sometimes you just need time to things to unfold, right?
Yeah.
To understand.
Yeah, or sometimes there's also demand, right? There's a trend, There's like, sometimes there's a few years where like, nobody's really that interested in working with me, or they're not really caring what I'm doing, or maybe it's my fault too. I didn't go out and look for new things, So it's multiple things, but sometimes you just have to wait through. Like now, I feel like things are moving along, and there's lots of cool projects I'm working on. Have a bunch of releases planned, and that's just sometimes that's the point in time, right? You have to be working on stuff when things are quiet, so that when things are moving, you have stuff already there, because you can't just be like, oh, things are great now, I'm going to try to finish an album this week. It just doesn't work. It just takes much more time. So you just always need to be working on things, even when the stuff is quiet or people aren't calling. You just have to be working on stuff all the time.
Just keep going.
Yeah, you got to be working on stuff all the time.
If you could, let's say anything to yourself back then, give any advice or just anything, what will that be? To like when you were still a teenager figuring things out, or when you just started your career or journey?
Like make way more stuff. Just make a lot of stuff. Don't think less, make more.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy. Just keep make sure the discipline in this. I was already very disciplined, but I think even more just really focus in and record and write as much as you can.
You were pretty lucky that you kind of knew what you like and what you want since you were really young, and you were just into it all your basically life. But is there maybe any advice you could give just as a older person, wiser, smarter, to people who are in search, let's say, or confused or whatever?
Yeah, I'd say, when you're starting out, you kind of have to try to figure out what you like and what you don't like, right? And you just have to You have to try different things. Try lots of different things, and take note. You can't just try things blindly and be like, okay, that didn't work, and try the next thing and be like, okay. Sometimes things take time too. So like, like a 3-month internship. Over time, yeah, that works. But in the beginning, you might need to give it more time than that. Maybe you try something for a year. Okay. The stuff you start to learn about yourself. Like, maybe I didn't like the team. Maybe I didn't like the other people I was working with. Maybe I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like a part of it. I didn't like the memorization part. I didn't like the focus part. I didn't like something. I didn't like commuting to work, or I didn't like, whatever it is. So in the beginning, you want to try as much as you can, especially in your 20s. In 20s, people are like, that's when they're supposed to be giving this a shot, giving that a shot, trying this and figuring out what you like. Then when you kind of figure out something you like, this is also the difficult thing, where there's the balance of, there's the things that you like, and there's the things that you're good at. Sometimes those aren't the same thing.
No.
There's the things you like, there's the things you're good at, and there's the things that make money. So you need to find a way. There's 3 circles that you kind of have to link up. The super lucky will have all those aligned in one circle. It's like, if they like it, they're good at it, and it makes them money. Right? This is for the career side. Other times it's like, well, they're good at it, it makes money, they hate it. Right? But then you have to, that's the sacrifice you need to do, because then you're going to have to do that. Then on your free time, you go figure out what you like to do, and you do that. Once you've made the money and do what you're good at. Sometimes you like it and it makes you money, but you're not very good at it. Now that means when you do it, you're not going to be as in demand. People don't care. They're not going to be calling you for it. You're not going to get hired. You're going to get hired, but you're not going to get the top position. You're going to be a little lower. Then that's that overlap of like, well, what is it you're good at then? So there's people like, people are always giving advice of like, for youngers, I got to find your passion. I don't think that's true anymore, because the passion might not be what's in demand or what you're good at, right? It's just what you like. But if you like it, there's a chance that you can work your way to become good at it. You can learn to become good at it, right? Because if you don't like it, then you're not going to try and whatever. So there's this fine balance of these 3 things. So giving advice is like, you need to figure out these 3 things, right? The youngster needs to figure out, try as many things as you can and find where these things sort of overlap. They'll learn and be like, I think I'm pretty good at, by the end of your 20s, you're going to start to know what you're pretty good at, or what you're not good at, what you like to do, what you don't like to do, and what the market is telling us, right? There's demand for this, or there's no demand for this. So that's sort of like the 3 things that I would probably try to advise on. But just to, as you get to a certain age, then it becomes more clear. When you get in your 30s and 40s, then all of a sudden those things start to become more clear, and then you also start to see that. I heard this the other day on a podcast where when you're younger, you always think you want to network up, right? When you're in 20s, well, it's true, because like the people that are doing the things are like, they're always older than you, right? They're always like, oh, he's running a company and he's doing these things and he's doing great things and she's doing this, and I was like, oh, it'd be great to get to know them, and see if I can go and do something with them. But really, all you have to do is network out. Same, your friends, your peers, who's in your age group that are doing interesting things and has good work ethic, has good personality there. Because when you get to like where my age, now all your friends are like doing all the cool stuff, right? They're the CEOs and tech startup guys, and they're the ones that have all the funding, and so as long as you work your way up in network and you keep relationship with all the people around you, as everybody ages, then they're going to be calling you like, hey, I got this thing, you want to work on this, hey, I got this idea, you want to help out with this. And rather than it being the people that are older, which also helps, but generally it's more like just your peers, the people that are around you.
Am I making a mistake asking you questions now?
No, why? Why?
Because you were older. You're not anymore.
It's not a mistake there. I'm just saying that.
I'm just kidding.
It's also important to have the the good network with the people that are your only. Because some people be like, screw them. I'm just gonna try to network with people that are, I wouldn't say maybe higher up in ranking or higher up in the process. More developed within their field. It doesn't always have to be that way. I mean, those are good for mentors to learn from, but having people that are more common and similar thought process is also important.
Okay. And the last thing, there's one interviewer that I like. He usually asks this question at the end of the little interviews. How do you say that in English? I guess, where's power? What is power for you? Strength. In what?
Strength.
Power, strength.
Yeah. It's the ability to make decisions. Some people procrastinate, and that's all it is. It's just being able to make many good decisions one after another.
Yeah.
Be quick to make the decision, right? Know when the decision is wrong, change it. That's power, really.
Yeah.
People, and that's what all the really big businessmen or CEOs or anybody within the big companies, that's their job, is just to make a decision. Do we try this new thing? Do we go that way or do we go that way? Do we spend or do we save? Do we sell? Do we release the new thing? What does it need to look like?
Make decisions. I get it. That
Yeah,
was a good answer. Thanks.
Thanks.
My love.
Cool. See you guys. See you guys, Kiki's Diary.
Kiki's Diary. Subscribe, like, and comment, please.
Share.
Yeah.
Share with your friends.
Share with your friends. What do you think? What do you think about my boyfriend?